Welcome back to Flat Rock, Michigan, everybody. This is the Mixed and Moderate Patriot podcast, official episode 1. You've heard the test pilot, or the pilot test, whatever the hell.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird, right?
Hey, you know what? We got loose, man. Eagle's rare. That
no, Eagle's
as I was calling it River.
Yeah, Eagle's River.
It got us real loose, and no, it was good. I think you were in a different time too. You were in a different period.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I was definitely in a different state, but I'm still there. I'm still there. Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still there because it's not like official.
Yeah.
And it's not even just really about, even once it's official, like I've changed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've changed as an actual man. Because like and just not just a professional realm, but everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I see a little bit more about like all the stuff that's fucked up, and just like being right with life.
Oh, like saying, hey, this is gonna happen, or that's gonna happen, or this could happen, that could happen, and then actually seeing it unfold. Well, and it wasn't just you being negative, or
yeah. I think it was more just about getting like not a third eye. Well, I guess like a third eye thing, because they say the third eye makes you see things more clearly, right?
Okay.
But I think that we can walk around this world and like really think we know what's going on, like so like after you, like, I don't know, adolescence, and you become a man and you think you kind of know everything, and then you look back and you're like, oh man, when I was a kid I used to think I knew everything, like in your 20s, and now in your 30s you look back and you're like, man, I used to think I know everything in your 20s. You know what I mean? Like it just keeps on going. But this one, man, this was like this was the door opener.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was the door opener for at least my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's why we're here. Mixed and Moderate Patriot podcast. Welcome to the first episode.
Uno.
Yeah, this is the first
for
one.
Our Telemundo listeners.
Yeah, outdoors.
I know it's a little
Michigan.
weird, so the reason I'm doing this is I don't have an official studio. The place that I do have is my own home, and to be honest, it can be hectic. As hectic as you would think this is. I mean, there's fucking ducks.
The public.
We've got people. It's the public. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
look, we've got beautiful scenery behind us. We have I think a woman stepped back there. She's back there now. You can see her on camera.
That's cool.
Maybe she'll flash a titty or something.
It's plain view. This is what law enforcement officers call plain view.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is plain view.
So, I mean, it's just something you gotta, we're gonna do. It might be weird now, but maybe it ends up being something we do.
I actually kind of like it.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I'm already fucking up the first episode.
Wow, dude. You didn't have to do that.
Wow. Already unprofessional.
Wow.
That's the black in me. That's the black in me, people.
I thought I was the comedy hour.
Yeah, that's the black in me. It's a movie going on, and hello?
Like total disregard for everyone enjoying anything.
Yeah.
And that ain't racist, dude. That's just a fact.
Yeah, it is. It's not. I don't think it's racist.
No, it's like, well, some people might. Like, there's people that'll find something racist about anything that happens in the world.
Well, I guess it is. Like I did say, the black in me, but I mean, what is black anymore, right?
Well, there's people that want to define it.
What is a woman?
Exactly. There's always. I mean, yeah. Well, but there's a difference there, right? Like, there's some things that we can talk about that we know definitively what the answer is.
Yeah,
there are other things that are more broad, like what is a black person? You could say all kinds of shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've been called Puerto Rican. I've been called blackish. I mean,
yeah, that's
I've been
wild.
I've been all over. I've never been called white.
Yeah.
So,
but you don't come off as a white guy, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I have that in my back pocket, which I'm going to use.
He has a privilege card. He did show me. It was like it glowed out of his, like it was glowing out of his wallet. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. When did you get that?" He's like, "At birth."
They forced my hand.
They gave it to me, and I had to take it.
It took 35 years for me to use it, but I'm using it.
Yeah, I would use that motherfucker hard, dude.
Hey, Sergeant Abdullah, you forced my hand.
Get in where it fit in, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I have nothing else to say other than, hey, man, it is what it is.
I wish we could dive into what you just said. Are we allowed to?
No, not yet. I mean, like, we got to like finalize litigation process, make sure everything's completely done, and all that's set aside. But it's coming. Just know that knowledge is power, and just know that make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, especially when you deal with the police. That's all I got to say with that.
Yeah, I mean that's primarily the reason and creation of this podcast was based off your experiences with that.
Yeah, for sure. Just a quick introduction, just for the people that tune in. My name's Jason. Grew up in Dearborn Heights in the early 90s, all white neighborhood. And my father had us on the weekends. I say my brother. My mom was a single parent. Went to the east side of Detroit occasionally. So I've kind of dealt with both realms of the world in that aspect. Military after high school, military into college into the federal government, the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security currently.
Yeah. So,
I've been a law enforcement officer for a while now. Just a guy, a father, recently divorced. That's a whole nother situation that we can kind of discuss. Definitely learned a lot with that. It's unfortunate that I had to end it in a divorce, but, that's what we had to do. Children first, peace and love and happiness always comes first. As for that, I was a black kid playing ice hockey my whole life. That was always interesting. Dropping that N-bomb on the ice as I'm kind of juking and jiving and getting goals in the net.
Oh, that's what they're saying to you?
Oh, dude, I've heard so many hard R's when I was a kid. I mean, it was one of those things where it just made me play better. I didn't really use it as like, Mom, they called me this. And you know what I mean? I just kind of used it as well, I'm going to be a better hockey player, and that's what I became.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm not saying it's right, but, that's culture. Culture is going to clash
everybody
sometimes.
has their own adversities.
Yeah,
right?
Especially during that time. Yeah, tolerance was low, and so that's what it was.
I mean, I don't want to compare that kind of adversity to, like, say, just a chubby kid.
Sure, yeah.
But what I'm saying, because you can't change your skin color.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's a good...
Michael Jackson did.
Yeah.
He is the exception to the rule.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, first, public figure.
He was, dude.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Went from black to white.
Yeah, for sure. If someone came and just, held their horn down, they would hear it.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool if someone just came and fucked up this podcast.
I don't think anybody would. It's your ex-wife.
Is that Mixed and Moderate Patriot Podcast? I fucking hate those guys.
Phil, man, we need you to fucking leave, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, leave us alone, man.
Yeah. Hey, give us something about you, Kev.
Oh, I'm just a standard white guy. Thoroughbred. Thoroughbred as they come. No, I'm kidding. I'm just, raised middle, lower of the middle class. Grew up in the same neighborhood as you.
Yeah.
Didn't experience racism, but I did experience financial hardships growing up. I didn't see it.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe you probably did, but you didn't see it either because you were taken care of by people that didn't let you know.
Shout out to my mother.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
great lady.
And they always get you what you wanted as much as they could.
Yeah.
So we were always taken care of, but looking back, I could tell, man, I grew up in kind of just a poor way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
financially poor.
Yeah, for sure. And
we were rich in other things like family.
Absolutely.
And, our being a part of D7, that community was pretty cool.
Yeah, Dearborn Heights was a working class neighborhood.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a working class neighborhood.
There was only a couple of households that were like, oh man, you guys are well off.
Yeah, for sure. And there was only a couple of households that were like, man, you guys are not well off.
Yeah, you guys are...
Stay away from that house.
Yeah, exactly. There were probably, there were probably a couple trap houses now.
Absolutely. One
or two.
Yeah.
Not many. I mean, once you hop over that telegraph border.
Yeah. I remember, I think it wasn't until, high school, they became, school of choice, and you started seeing more, the, I guess you can say, I like the term urban. Urban kids started flowing in a little bit more into, the Dearborn Heights schools. And I remember that, because obviously I was always black. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're cool. Other people that look like me.
Yeah, I never really, thought of anything of it. But I remember thinking to myself, that's kind of funny how, things are changing drastically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I remember I was playing hockey in Dearborn, and we drive through, the Ford Road and Southfield area, and I remember, it being, predominantly, I don't know, I guess, you'd say, I don't want to say, white-owned businesses, but American citizen businesses, but it's kind of funny. Now you go down that road, and it's all the signs are in Arabic first, right? And then, the secondary is English. So it's funny how quick things change. And
as soon as a specific culture or societal shift happens, a lot of things kind of just get put to the wayside. Well, because it's it's the community members that outweigh other community members. You know, so the other cultures that
the culture
that are running that side. So
I
mean, you could look at that negatively, or you could look at it as that's just the way it is.
I mean, it's America. Yeah, and speaking back onto like how we grew up, kind of our origins and stuff. It's important. It like defines you, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like I think the ostracizing of people's culture kind of needs to stop, right? Like I think there's a lot of I don't know what you call it's definitely virtue signaling, because like people they jump on this like trend, right? And they make it like almost like a mainstream. Like I compare it to like when music was big. So like when Eminem came out, right? Like you heard Eminem all over the radio, right? That doesn't mean Eminem just became into existence. Eminem was always a thing, right? He was like doing his thing, like small term and stuff,
right?
And it didn't mean that he didn't exist. It means that people were starting to it was becoming trendy.
Mm-hmm.
I call the same thing. I kind of compare that as to what's going on today with like the LGBTQ plus and all the other stuff that's going on, in our culture, because it's always been a thing. It's not like it's never been a thing. It's just now becoming more mainstream, and it's now more, I guess you want to say, in your face. And it's unfortunate it takes that, but at the same token, it's unfortunate how people react when someone doesn't necessarily like listen to that music because they don't like it, right? I guess in other words, they don't want they don't care about it. They just it doesn't fancy them, right? And
right.
It doesn't necessarily make them a bigot. I think they just don't care about it.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, does someone's sexuality really affect me? And you're talking to a guy who's a conservative on the small C, not the big C conservative.
Yeah.
Who, that's the last thing I give a fuck about.
Yeah.
So why do we have to tell everybody about it?
Yeah.
That's my take, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, earlier today, I was actually on Facebook. I don't go on there a lot. I'll post like some random stuff. And I saw a post regarding like the LGBTQ plus the flag, like the pride flag, and it was like a father with a shield, and the flag, like the rainbow, like the rainbow from the flag was like coming in. And he was like had a shield, and it's just two children there, and he's like reading them a story, right? And I'm not gonna like really say their names because I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I didn't really like what was being said on that post. I didn't mind the post. I thought it was kind of smart because obviously parents should always be told to be parents. I don't think anybody should rely on like the society to raise their kids or the government to raise their kids. They have an obligation once you get the gift from God to have a child. It's your responsibility. Right. You have a God-given responsibility, and it's yours, and it's only yours. And I think that's important.
I do believe, and you can feel differently. That's fine. I do believe it. We do have to have communities that raise our children as
Absolutely.
well.
It takes
and
a
what
village.
I mean, and what I mean is, I'm not talking about socialist ideals. I'm not talking about
nothing aggressive.
I'm talking about when you see a kid out of line, and you know that kid and you know their family, you check them.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you saw a kid at the park, he's on the rooftop. Hey, kid, get down from there.
Yeah, come on, man.
Right? Yeah, like I don't think you're gonna whoop them. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get crazy.
But we're not talking about full-on thought policing of people and full-on, hey, this is what you need to accept.
Yeah.
This is how you have to accept it. This is how you have to take it. And you can't, people just straight up telling someone else, this is how it's going to be. Well, no.
No, not at all.
That's where our families
that's where the parents,
that's where your parents are
Parents come in and everything else. But anyways, back to the post. So so someone posted that happened to be homosexual, said that, I don't understand what you're afraid of. What's the fear? Talked about fear a lot. And then also said, talked about tolerance. And I thought that was pretty important just because, that's kind of like, I'm sorry, that's horseshit to me. Because, just because a parent doesn't necessarily want the mainstream media and the government and public schools to teach their kids about homosexuality and so forth, I don't think that necessarily makes them, afraid. I think they just have a responsibility that they want to take responsibility for. I don't think they want anybody else to tell them, their children, how to do their business. But I mean, at the same token, if, clearly if the parents are raising them to hate, sure. But guess what though? You're not going to stop that, right? You're not going to stop a parent who is a hateful person, who's a bigot, who's a racist, who's a sexist, who's a homophobic, transphobic, you're not going to stop them from teaching hate. The children are going to see that naturally. So if you think Hollywood is going to be the cure for that, you're absolutely mistaken. And I think that was my point when I responded back to these people on the social media posts. I basically just said, tolerance does go both ways. I don't think, the virtue signaling is going to cure all this. For what the other side's defense is, we got to teach tolerance to the kids. I think that it should just kind of be more of a natural flow for society and cultural norms, just like anything. Just like, when it came to, the racism in this country, in the 50s and 60s, when this everything was kind of changing law-wise, the government was recognizing it. I don't necessarily think there's something that Hollywood is going to cure for us, but I also believe, too, it's not a comparable. You know what I mean? If you're going to try to compare what's going on today with the LGBTQ plus to, say, racism in this country, I'm sorry, but a good definition that would is nice and clear is that when I look at you, Kevin, I see your skin color.
Yeah.
I don't see you putting your penis into a vagina.
Right.
Or a penis into a butthole.
Good call.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's important. And I think there's not really a comparison. You can't hide your race or what you look like.
Yeah.
But you can hide your sexuality. And it's not even hiding it. It's the fact is that you shouldn't be talking about something like that just to everybody. Hey, by the way, I like pussy or I like dick. I think it's just important, right? I mean, it's just it's an etiquette thing. They've really pushed this large majority of like people in this world that just hate everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just simply not true.
The world's just filled with hate.
Yeah, it's simply not true because what it is there's so much of that out there now that it's almost like it's in the loom of people's mindset. But really, like if you go, say I remember like when I go to the southern states, and I stop at a gas station, they're a lot more friendlier, right, naturally, than say the northern states. Like it's more of like a hey, how you doing? You know what I mean?
Like
and I'm
genuinely
generally like good morning, right? Not like
yeah.
a good morning, fuck you, but like a good morning, like hey, it's a really good morning,
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that there are good people out there, but just like how there's like people that just they might not be having a good day and everything else. And obviously you go to metropolitan areas, these people are like slammed together and they're with each other all day, every day. They can't go to a park where they can be in peace, like without having human beings all over the place.
Speak of the devil.
That naturally causes the brain to get a little hostile too. You know what I mean?
You got to remember one thing. Everything you're saying is great. But you have to remember, they can define whatever they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can define. They can write it and say that there is hate because this is what hate is.
Yeah.
Hate is not accepting me.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
Well, it also sells.
I may not approve of what you do. That doesn't mean I hate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I may not. There's a line being crossed that most people don't care for, which is you can believe and feel however you want. But then once we start getting into the terms of how you're going to tell my kid what's
absolutely.
Well, I'll use the term normal. I don't want to offend anybody. But what you want to term as normal or whatever.
Yeah,
like that's when we start to get into some mushy territory because it isn't a hateful belief to think I don't like lettuce.
Sure.
It's not your cup of tea, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't mean you fucking hate everybody that eats it.
Exactly.
I don't know.
No, I like that.
I'm trying to think of something. I mean, lettuce is kind of a...
No, I mean, another thing, too, is like, the truth is there are people that are, everybody has a breaking point.
Yeah.
That's just true. Everybody has a breaking point. Everybody has bad days. Everybody is human, and I don't think you're going to get some kumbaya, happy rainbow, no pun intended, like day out of everybody every single time. And especially when you start forcing it, not, I guess, forcing it, but they're just kind of more, they're more using it now, right? So I guess like in Disney, like the big talk of the town was like the Buzz Lightyear film that just came out, the cartoon, obviously intended for kids. They have a mother and another mother, right? Like two females with a kid, and they I guess they share a kiss. So
whatever, yeah.
It's like whatever. I mean, I get it. Like, okay,
I'm still gonna see it, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I will too, and I'm not gonna be afraid to take my kids there.
No,
but I get, at the same token, like, now the parents that are gonna be questioning that are gonna be more. They're gonna just be more perturbed, I guess you could say, at the fact that now they're probably going to have their kids say, hey, mom, like, what was that about? You know what I mean? And then now they're going to have that conversation, and that's fine. But I just don't think that it's something that is damning. Like I don't think it's a big bomb, like a bombshell. However, I will say this, like I will say that when it's just Disney doing it because they're told to do it because it's trendy and streamy and everything else now,
yeah, there's a difference.
That's virtue signaling.
Well,
dude.
especially corporations that are running it.
You're trying to make the money. You're trying to, you're trying to like cause this clickbaitish thing, and that's unfortunate because the truth is, I'm sure the LGBTQ plus. They want their name heard in the right way, right? Like just
and that's why if you approach somebody who's part of that community that's older, they'll tell you, this shit's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when did we start adding extra letters to this?
Yeah,
when did we start letting corporations push us?
There you go.
This was grassroots. This wasn't.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
There's a reason why you kind of want to avoid corporatization.
Exactly.
It's because they're going to be making money.
Yeah.
And
it's just like
all off your ass.
Yeah, just like with the race stuff with BLM. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Your ass will be used more ways than one when a corporation decides to come in and represent you. No offense, but I thought that was a good joke. Anyways.
No, well, I mean, sorry. I'm sorry I didn't laugh.
No, you're a fuck off.
You're a fuck off.
Just suck it, man.
The term goes like absolute power corrupts absolutely. So
of course, yeah.
So I think that's the big. The big.
And look at how big it gets until you start to go, man, is this gonna backfire on them at some point?
Yeah,
Well, it's kind of hip to be that way.
That's
now.
what I'm saying. It's trendy. It's
cool to be queer, man.
It's cool. Yeah, it is.
I guess.
It is. Yeah, it's
different.
Like again, it's one of those things. I remember like when we were kids, the Joe Camel. Remember Joe Camel? They tried to take like all of it off TV, and like the whole basis of that was because kids think the camel's cool, and it's solely like trying to sell it to kids more than it is adults, right? And obviously it's just simply nicotine, and it's one of those things where it shows you the power of it, right? Like the power of propaganda, the power of, if you make something trendy, propaganda is very, very, it's used accordingly in this world, in this existence, because it works.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the movie Inception, right? Basically the quick premises on that is, they like, a dream within a dream within a dream. And like you plant this idea in this person's head, and then you wake that person up from the dream, but they're in like the next dream.
You don't
so they
need
never
to put people to sleep, by the way.
Yeah, and they never. The truth is though, what they do is what Christopher Nolan's doing there. He's kind of showing you how the mind is so fragile. So if the mind is confused and doesn't really know what's real or what's fake, the idea is still there. The idea is planted, and then the idea could become something of that reality.
Again, it goes back to we have a whole sect of our population that can define anything the way they want it, and
Absolutely.
A huge portion, like more than 50% of the population of our country, let's just say our country, go with it, and agree with it. And it's like, we can't just start defining things in a way that's just open and broad, like open-ended.
Yeah.
You have to have a definitive definition, answer for everything. I mean,
well,
there
we
are some
want
things
facts,
that can be,
right?
I mean, there needs to be fact related.
Yeah, we need facts.
Or hey, we're all about wanting to be about science.
Yeah,
Let's be about science.
See, this is the thing. Theory today is being pushed as facts. And that's false, right? Naturally.
Yeah.
And that's coming from an uneducated guy. So the truth is these theories, right? Theories are good in the way of exploring and venturing and figuring things out, testing and really pushing, what God gave us, right? Our brains to see what we can really do, and obviously help, right? And try to cure and do things. But when there's theories out there where there are people out there who use theories to almost as a weapon against somebody and a particular group of people to cause other people to conflict with each other. Like, shame on you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, shame on you and the bus you fucking rode in on, because what you're doing there is you're causing unnecessary conflict in a world that we're all figuring out. You know what I mean?
Right,
and we're all figuring it out, dude. Like, we're all trying to get there. And for somebody who's like, say, I use that term again, virtue signaling, because I pulled it up, I Googled it today, so it's like in my stupid head of mine. So that's important, because, shame on you if that's what you're doing it for. Yeah. If you're truly out there and you're like really wanting,
I got way more respect for those people.
Yeah, dude. Like, especially the people that really like the LGBTQ plus people, the BLM people. Like I've talked to
people
a lot
that
of these people.
help kids that get kicked out of their house because their parents don't agree with
really
them.
doing the
Shit
right
like
thing.
that, you know,
really doing the right thing,
which does happen.
Coming from a good place, you know, and you know that goes without saying, you know, with the path to hell was paved with good intentions. But if your good intentions are truly good and pure, hey, I think anybody can rock with you, you know, at that point, you know, because you're really trying and you're not just sitting on your ass saying, well, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, you know, particularly, especially like with this podcast, right? Like the Mixed and Moderate Patriot podcast, you know, it's important to have these dialogues because, you know, it's not being had any other way, you know, and it's cool that, you know.
Even the institutions that you would think that would prevail, it doesn't happen.
No, not at all.
It doesn't occur in those places.
No, not at all.
Like schools or higher, you know, higher education, those areas.
Yeah.
Actually, you're less likely to have proper, full-on, out in the open forum and discussion.
Town halls.
Discord.
Yeah.
You just don't find it.
You don't. Well, another thing, too, is because, you know, ostracized is real and people are afraid. You know, there are people that are legitimately afraid of what they say.
Yeah.
And I've been there, you know what I mean? Obviously, I work for the United States government, you know, and there's a lot of things I can't say, particularly like, especially for agencies that I work for. Like I said, I work for the Department of Homeland Security. I won't say the agency I work for because, like, there are certain things that they could try to use against me. Who knows what could happen?
Right.
And I think it's important to understand, too, though, like I said in the pilot, like, obviously, I'm an American citizen. I have constitutional rights. I can't scream fire in the theater, but I can definitely, like, speak, you know, right. And I think as long as I'm saying things that are right and factual and I'm not speaking for anybody, I can speak for Jason. I can speak for myself every single time. So I don't think there's anything that's gonna, you know, prevent that outside of what you just said, those big corporations that shut you down, you know, like these guys that own everything, right? Like these big billionaire corporations, trillionaire corporations, these high stream agendas, and stuff like that.
And I get taking down hate speech, like
sure.
things that are like there's a reason, just like that kid that shot up the fucking what was in Buffalo. Horrible. He streamed it. I watched it like an idiot.
Was it the mall?
No, he went to an all like a primarily urban or black neighborhood and killed all those folks inside.
Okay, that was a grocery store.
store.
Yeah, okay.
And he had means to get radicalized on the internet.
Yeah.
And you know, those things I do agree with. I do agree we should stop people from going online and just blasting the N-word, saying I want to kill N-words or you know, I think you guys get what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah,
sounds
for sure.
Funny, but like we need to stop that type of stuff. But if you're having someone who's just like, hey, you know, I'm not too comfortable. Well, you won't even say it.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
That's true. Most people won't.
Most people won't say, hey, I don't feel comfortable with, you know, all these corporations getting in and, you know, having to talk about sexuality because, again, I don't know when the last time is you've ever seen a pride parade. The ones I've seen have been kind of, well, not kind of, completely inappropriate for children.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And what are we pushing? We're pushing this whole thing for children to be involved.
Well, it's perversion, right? I mean, the truth is it's perversion. I mean, like that, you know, you can just Google the word perversion yourself and
why isn't that stuff banned?
You know, because obviously there's an agenda with that.
Like
and,
sexualizing things and...
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as like...
Specifically made for children even?
Yeah. There's, I mean, you know, there's certain things that, you know, they push the boundaries, and I don't necessarily think that's everybody in LGBTQ+. I think it's like, you know, you have your radicals, just like you have everywhere, you know, and I think that, you know, that goes without saying, you know.
There's religious radicals in this country.
Exactly. I mean, it's always going to happen. That's always going to be a thing. It's unfortunate that happens because obviously what happens is the particular people on the other side that don't support it, they'll use that to try to shut it down. And that's unfortunate too, but, you know, we just got to be smarter. Like I said, there has to be dialogue. There has to be conversation. And I don't think there should be this like complete, you know, name calling, like particularly the word bigot, just because someone doesn't necessarily want lettuce.
Sure.
Right?
However, we do have to recognize, like I just mentioned, we do have people within our government that are trying to hurt these people in a way that it's not just, hey, keep it to yourself. This is like, there are people that genuinely don't want to, well, I wouldn't say exist, but they don't want them to have the rights just a normal, you know, everyday person would have. Like, they don't want them to have the right to get married, and that's fucked up. You know, I don't believe you should force churches to have to agree with what you're doing. If that church is totally against it, that's that church, dude. Find yourself a church that does it, or
exactly
be recognized by the state, which everybody has to do anyways.
Exactly.
We all have to be recognized.
It should be like the government should the marriage situation. It should just be like a permit thing, just like they normally do it, and it's just a money thing. It's really what it is. It's a doctrine.
Do you think though that it would be less of that? Like it'd be less of this huge push if we didn't have people within our governments and within our some institutions that would push for this, like, well, fuck this. I have the power to, I don't believe in hindering anyone's rights. Fuck them. You know, and what I mean by fuck them is fuck the people trying to do that. So I think honestly, and I hate the term, and he's kind of right. I mean, the dude that took over Buzz Lightyear, which I know why they didn't get Tim Allen for that, but although it's harsh and fucked up to say, those ideals of the people that are extreme on that end, they will die out. Those ideas will. Yeah. However, we don't need to create another extreme on the opposite end.
Yeah, I agree.
If you don't agree with me, you're just bigoted and you're hateful.
For sure. Yeah, don't shut it down, man. Don't shut down the dialogue. Yeah, don't shut it down.
Like you just said, we're shutting down dialogue.
Dude, it's an addiction. People get addicted to shutting down dialogue, almost as if they win. Like the funny post that people say, like when they reply back to you, like, "Thank you for confirming what I said. Thank you." Like, thank you. Like it's funny. It's like, okay, you shut it down. Like, do I stop talking now because you said thank you, or like, you know what I mean? It's almost like it's naive. It's very naive. It's simple-minded to me to want to not talk, right?
Oh, it's simple. Very bad.
It's simple-minded.
If you can't defend your positions, that's bad.
Yeah, and especially without your heart racing and your blood pressure going up and like you getting all crazy and twerky.
Too emotional,
Yeah, like you got to learn how to relax, man. I mean, and I get it. Like there are people out there that when there's a fight, and it's ready to go, like they'll hop up. But I think people are really forgetting the fight or flight scenario, and I don't think they even know what a fight is anymore, right?
What happened with just? We've said it several times. What happened to just dialogue? Because I've touched subjects with people young and old. Yeah. I've seen old people just want to walk away from me once I start talking about something they don't like.
Yeah, you would think the wise, right? Because like in the African villages, right? The older are the wise. They're the wise. They
probably welcome that discussion.
Yeah, the elders, right? The elders are like respected. In this fucking whatever you want to, I guess you can call it country. I don't know what you want to call it anymore.
States.
Our elders, man, like
not united.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the not United States right now. It'll get back. That's another reason why we're doing this podcast too. It's the Patriot, right? The Patriot should be highlighted in capital letters, right?
I'll do that.
Bring patriotism back.
I got you.
Patriotism needs to come back.
Good luck on that one.
It's not dead, man. It's not dead. Patriotism's not dead. There's a lot of sleeping giants.
That call patriotism, and again, in my definition, my definition of patriotism is real simple. You listen to your brothers and sisters of your country.
Yeah,
you hear them out.
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter. I may not agree with it.
Yeah.
The corporate aspect of it, but I'm totally about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? When your brothers and sisters of your countrymen and women are crying for something, you hear them out. However, flip the coin. Those people should be able to be criticized.
Absolutely.
And at the same rate, you could be criticized.
Yep. After action reviews, man.
Once you're unable to criticize them, which is the whole fucking thing of this discussion.
Yeah.
You've lost it, and you're no longer touchable. And at that point, you're not part of the society. You're not part of the group.
No,
you're above it.
Yeah. You can't do that, and there's nobody above anybody else in this country. We're all. In the Constitution it says the man created equally, right? Man also includes women, and it also includes everyone that is in this country, right? And if you live in this country and you're a citizen of this country, you should have a little bit of pride in yourself in this country for what we're going to be, right? Yeah. And I don't think it's people always go back and they say, well, it was written by a bunch of white colonizers, It's
but they never said only white people.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Like that's like the defense, right?
Because they could have. They could have put that
absolutely.
in there.
Yeah, they could have said they could have been really crazy with it, and I thought it was like not. And so it's kind of funny how the other side, right, like someone who like really opposes the Constitution, which is funny. If they oppose the Constitution, they're a complete jackass.
You're a dummy.
Yeah, dude, because
it's an imperfect document that you can continue to fix if we want to.
And the opposite of the Constitution is death. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, could you imagine without the Constitution, with LGBTQ, it wouldn't exist. Or blacks wouldn't exist. Or white. I mean, shit. Yes. I mean, it'd be whoever
the Constitution that helped those people.
Whoever the strongest was, whoever could kill the fastest, that would be in power.
And this is to help the demoralized. This is that whole thing was to help the people. Yeah, at the time it was white settlers and shit.
Yeah.
It was the people that
It's an awful
did some
event.
fucked up
Yeah.
shit.
It's an awful
However,
defense.
they also made a beautiful thing that
They sure
we
did.
all are part of.
Yeah, it still works
It
today.
tells us what we are allowed.
It still works today, and it works in every single way. And
applies to everybody that's a citizen.
It does, and it's even non-citizens.
It
even,
should.
Even non-citizens.
Yeah.
As long as they get over the border, they are granted constitutional rights.
That's because we're a great place.
Yeah, exactly, and that's because of the Constitution.
Yeah.
That's because of the Constitution. And people who want to sit there
It's
and
the fundamentals of this country.
Yeah, they really try to bash it sometimes, and it's kind of amusing to me because it's like, wow, you're bashing a tool that you're using.
Yeah.
You're bashing something that helps you.
Yeah.
And I think it behooves anybody who wants to cause force, or not force, I guess, like push change in this country to a better direction. You should be supporting the Constitution.
How do we get those people on board?
Well, I mean, some
what
of
do
those
we do?
people are
Do we
radicals.
approach them with open arms and say, look, I do love you?
I think the biggest thing for those people is you just let them keep on talking because, they have their First Amendment right. It's the greatest thing about this country.
Yeah, but they don't believe in it, which is so weird to me.
Isn't
Like,
that funny?
They're literally insane.
Yeah.
It's insane to think like you
know
can't
what I would say?
appreciate all
You know
those
what I
rights.
would say? I would say for those people, if you're listening, and you don't support the Constitution because it's a racist doctrine, go to China and say that.
Yeah.
Or go to Russia.
Anywhere. Actually,
Yeah.
anywhere.
Go to
There's
Russia.
nobody has that embedded into their constitution. If they even have a constitution.
I'll say, like, the only thing I could go back to is the motherland, Africa. I'm sure there's villages that, indigenous people. I don't know.
Yeah, but those are different, man.
Yeah,
they
I
don't
know.
have constitutions. They have tribes.
Yeah, exactly.
And religion that backs up their claims.
Yeah, their whole existence is just from the sun. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, how
Nobody
far
would
back
do
you want
that,
to go?
though. Nobody wants to do
No,
that. Nobody wants to
man,
go
hell
there.
No, dude. They'd rather stay on Facebook and be cool.
But they'd love to tell you how much they'd love
How much
to get
of a
out of
bigot
this
you
place.
are? Yeah. Or how much, yeah. I haven't been called an Uncle Tom, like, officially, but I'm sure there's people out there that'll be like, that's an Uncle Tom.
What else you got on your notes, man? We're hitting all these and we're kind of shooting them.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to touch a lot about what I've personally gone through with domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Domestic violence, and being that, it's a very important topic to discuss. I don't think enough men talk about domestic violence clearly with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case that shed a lot of light on really what's going on. It sucks that Johnny Depp was used.
I mean, he's imperfect, but he definitely didn't do what you would assume.
Yeah.
What Amber was trying to push.
Well, I think if anything, if people who actually kept up with the case realized is that how easy it is to make an accusation.
Yes.
And how easy it is for mental health to be confused with a person's reality. And also that relationships naturally are like, I guess I'll use the word like hairy, right? Nothing's clean about a relationship. Like anybody's marriage, right? If you know someone that's married, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage. But what you do strive to do is you strive to love and respect each other.
Yes.
You honor and cherish each other, and till death do you part, right?
Yes.
And
we do need to come up with another word to define that, because perfect isn't it, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely it's definitely a trial and tribulation.
There you go.
It's definitely a trial and tribulation. Now, I don't believe that. That being said, domestic violence is a serious thing. There are people that live in abusive relationships that will never get out of them because it's more or less Stockholm syndrome, right? They believe it to be normal. They believe that to be that's how it's supposed to be. So when people are undergoing domestic violence and they're living it, that in a sense becomes normal to the society.
There's some people that grow up around that.
Yeah,
my wife, one of her good friends just served her husband divorce papers, but for so long, my wife would talk to her and be like, "Why do you let this go on, or why do you let these things happen?" And then she realizes, your father treated your mother like this forever.
Yeah,
and it was you've seen it.
Yeah,
so this is what you thought was normal.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, and then it's childhood trauma. Absolutely, any psychiatrist will, explain the process of it. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm definitely a kid who didn't witness that. I'm definitely a guy who married into that and witnessed it unfold and was very confused in the beginning.
I bet, confused. Dude. I mean, I hate to laugh.
Yeah,
but
no, for
it's
sure.
Like, it would be if you're not
so
if you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden you see it, and you're like, "Oh shit, this is deeper than we thought."
It's very confusing when it starts popping off. So, fortunately for me, the only thing I thought to do was document it. You know what I mean? Like record it. Like, you know, I remember the first situation. You know, the kitchen was destroyed, and I just remember thinking to myself, I need to like document this and not clean it up.
This is unreal.
Yeah, this is not real. So I remember I documented it, I recorded it, I still have the video, and you know, the kitchen's destroyed, plates are bashed, there's like a hole in the wall, and I remember thinking to myself, like, do I show this to her? And then it's like, well, no, just keep it, you know what I mean, just for safekeepings, but just try to get help. Like, hey, don't do this, right? Like, don't act this way. We can. Again, dialogue, right? Like marriage takes lots of dialogue, and it takes more than just dialogue. It takes absolute trust.
Right.
And I'll say that again. Marriage is trust. Marriage is trust. And because if you have trust, I truly believe that people's insecurities, especially when they like are dealing with childhood trauma, such as witnessing domestic violence as a child, which is very serious, very damaging to kids. It's extremely damaging. They've done tons of studies. They've legitimately found like parts of the brain that won't grow actually if the child like witnesses very crazy things, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate what it does to kids. It's not funny. It's
and obviously we can't be perfect.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, but
we raise our voice around a kid. You shouldn't feel too bad, but at the same time,
yeah.
I mean, I hate to say this. I want my kid to see that there are people that fight. And argue.
Absolutely. Well,
and the reason why you want to show them how you're supposed to handle it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but I'll say this. So
I don't want anyone to get in their head.
Well, I remember. So I can give you an example. When I was a kid, I had a very good upbringing. Like obviously, it was a single family home, but it means nothing. My mom did a great job. You know, my grandma helped us. You know, while my mom was going to nursing school. You know, and I remember having a very good childhood because. Fortunately, and for me, a lot of my friends, their fathers were like fathers to me. I looked up to, like, I remember one of my best friends, Keith. I looked up to Dave. It was his stepdad. Jake Zarebek. I remember I looked up to Leo. Like, I looked up to these guys as fathers. I got to see what a father really should be doing.
That's how my dad lives.
So, but the opposite of that, I remember growing up with Kenny Moss, and Kenny Moss's dad was a good dad, but holy shit, I remember being a kid, and when the Kenny would like fuck up, Bob would just jaw jack the motherfucker. Like
that
closed fist.
In the Fry fist.
Yeah,
the Fry house.
Closed fist popped Kenny in the mouth one time. I remember thinking to myself, that's fucked up. Like that's brutal. That's not how you discipline. Like I remember a spanking sucked, but dude, I would hate to get jaw jacked by my mom.
No.
And so
I think my dad hit me in the stomach one time.
There's ways,
but never the face.
Yeah, there's ways to do things. And going back to now is obviously that was wrong, right?
Yeah,
like you don't jaw jack your kid. Like you just don't simply jaw jack your kid. You can make I hear jokes. Oh, one day we're gonna take boxing gloves and go out in the front yard. The truth is, you don't have to do that. It's like the bad supervisor who has to tell you he's a supervisor. If you have to punch and jaw jack your kid, it means you're a bad father.
Yeah,
it means you need to reassess and readdress how you parent.
You're not smart enough.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you can't figure it out emotionally. You're not emotionally intelligent enough to speak to a kid as a child and teach that child what to do and what not to do. Right. So I think that's important first, right off the bat. But going back to how important it is that with the Depp and Heard case, I think it woke up the general public to men can get beat up, and men can get hit, men can get abused, and and it's important that we find out the facts. It's unfortunate, though. I guarantee you, I haven't done the Freedom of Information Request, FOIA. For those who don't know what that is, you definitely need to Google that. It's important when it comes to the United States government.
Bobby said he learned a lot.
Good. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, FOIA, Freedom of Information Request. Every state has one. The federal government, it's a federal law as well. You can request public documents, public everything, right?
Pretty much anything.
Documents.
It's public.
Yeah, exactly. Videos, transcripts, everything. But it might cost you some money. But it's definitely important if you want to know the facts. So, anyways, if you FOIA, say like a general city, and you FOIA all the domestic violence arrests, and then at the same token, after that, you find out all those arrests, and then you find out the results of those arrests. I guarantee you they're either pleas or they're dismissals. And the reason why I say that is because the people who go to trial, there'll probably be some trials, obviously, they'll end up, they'll see the facts, but the domestic violence laws are so, again, I'll say it again, virtue signaled, because like they're basically telling these cops, just arrest the dude. You know what I mean? Because, just it happens. And so we have to make an assumption because we're a shall arrest state. Michigan's a shall arrest state, not may arrest. So they shall arrest. That usually, in layman's terms, that means they should more or less arrest somebody. That's the way Congress kind of writes this act, right? The domestic, I forget the actual act. But anyways, they're forced to do this, and it kind of forces the hand of the police to make very unprofessional, neglectful decisions,
right?
Such as utilizing one person's statement as probable cause to make a seizure and charge somebody with a domestic violence, which can do a lot of damage to you, especially if you're a law enforcement officer,
right?
And you don't know what the law
we have recourse for those things. It doesn't mean that it's going to go in your favor.
True.
It's just
due process, right?
Yeah.
But I'll say this, though. I'll say this very loud and clear because I respect police officers. I respect law enforcement in this country. Law enforcement is not doing themselves the justice when they lose the integrity from the public, right?
Yeah.
That being said, public trust. The public trust will be lost if you keep on walking around and making seizures off of a statement.
Right.
It's the same as like when I was in the academy, utilizing a statement as probable cause of a seizure is unheard of. In the federal side of things, I guess you could say. That's why you don't really see the federal government in the funny papers the way you do local law enforcement. Now, that being said, local law enforcement are the true first responders because they have they have to enforce traffic laws. They have to enforce civil, like citation. They, what is that? Like neighborhood.
Yeah, FBI isn't coming on.
Yeah, exactly. They're not doing a noise complaint. They're not doing a noise complaint, right? So that being said, that's important to understand too. But it doesn't change the game. It doesn't change the game because you're still in the United States of America.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the need for probable cause. It doesn't change what reasonable suspicion is to make the stop, right? It doesn't change any of that. But yet it's being done that way. And, that's important. And I think, I know legislators, state and all the way up to the federal government need to talk about this, that there has to be something done with that because that will then prevent things such like Breonna Taylor's, George Floyd's, because they're not looking at how these law enforcement officers are even getting to that particular situation.
Are these guys? They're taking the bare minimum of training. Let's just be honest. They're not judge and jury.
Yeah.
We get that.
Yeah.
The problem is that in itself is the cause and the alarm push for. Hey, look, we need to train people now. After you do your basic, whatever it is. You have an intensive training and knowledge of local laws and maybe even case stuff. Well, to understand that, like, hey, look, we're gonna get sued. But I've seen the videos. Why hasn't it come up? Hey, let me call Sergeant. Let me find out what's going on. Is this something we can do? Instead, it's no. I got to do it. I'm the big man. This is my scene.
Well, because
this
ego,
is
right?
I'm doing
we talked about ego, and ego really. I mean, ego will take the top of the class. Police officer in his class was like top of the class, right? So that means he passed all his tests with flying colors. He's a good shot. He does everything by the book. His uniform squared away. But the dude's got an ego from hell. He'll be the first one to violate someone's constitutional rights and get that police department sued.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, police officer, what's a better question is if you just Google police audits and you watch these videos, why is it that you still have young millennial, what's like the new, like what's a 20-something now? What do they call them? Gen Z?
Gen Z, yeah.
Why do you have Gen Z police officers still not knowing that they can't just simply ID you if they don't believe, if they don't have a crime, that necessarily took place or was afoot or is about to take place, right? So these are basics. These are basics, dude. These are basic.
Oh, let's also not forget that those same officers, once you start to question them, will tell you, "What are you, a lawyer?" And
exactly.
No, you don't have to be a lawyer.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't.
You just have to know your rights.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's so funny. It's so funny to me that these newer police officers, especially today, man, because Google is a big thing, or YouTube's a big thing, right? So these police departments should be utilizing these YouTube police audits as training. This should be training. You should be watching these videos.
More times than none, I will say, though, like, especially if it takes place right outside their department, typically you'll see the chief come out Hey,
yeah, and
fuck
sometimes
off, guys, let them go, and then
but
sometimes he
the
backs
chief,
them up.
But sometimes the chief fucks themselves.
I know.
Yeah, it's and you know these are like these little rinky-dink PDs and stuff. Yeah, you know for sure. But that's the thing though. It shouldn't matter, right? Because obviously you know they're professionals. I look at it. I looked at it like this when I did the oath and I swore in to be a law enforcement officer. I looked at it as like legitimately taking a contract for say the NHL. Or the NFL. I'm a professional, right? I handle myself as a professional. I treat this job professionally. I don't take this just whatever with a grain of salt. I'm very serious when I did my oath, right? So I think all police officers should. I know all police officers should. All law enforcement officers should because it's important. Because you know why? It prevents the police officers from getting shot by these radicals that they think that there's like some weird agenda. It prevents lawsuits. It promotes public trust. It only helps the law enforcement officers continue to be good law enforcement officers in this country, and it's very important. It's so important. You know, you can't even put a number on it. It's how important it is, and that's why we train, right? That's why we do what we do. But I think it's even more important that there should be dialogue with it. There should be communities talking about this. There should be communities talking to the police, and making sure that they understand that this is nothing personal. This is something that we expect because we're citizens and we deserve to have our rights. You know, I mean, it's in the Constitution. We are protected, and so the truth of the matter is police are the government, so they have to understand these things. It's weird how they take it personal.
But in a lot of ways, then, we're not saying defund the police. You're almost saying pump more money into it so we can train them.
I think the training should just be reformed. Like I think
it's like the military stopped taking people that were, you know, you had to be educated to get in the military at some point. You had to have graduated high school.
I definitely think
raise those standards.
I definitely know that if I was a chief of police or if I was like someone, an executive staff member of training for law enforcement, I would mandate at least 2 to 3 hour blocks of where they watch these audit videos because they're very important to do after action on. 3 things wrong, 3 things right. Some of these audit videos, they're all wrong. So these police officers handle the situation completely wrong. They mistreat the public. They mistreat their power and authority. They basically completely ego police. A good one was a good example I'll talk to the viewers about. So to see that bench over there, right? There's a guy that was sitting on the bench and he was watching the sunset. Someone called in and said the guy was sleeping, okay? So again, I go back to utilizing a statement as probable cause for an arrest or a statement as something that's credible. What I was always told, and this is not just law enforcement training, this is just Jason as a fucking normal human being, is trust but verify. If someone comes up to me and tells me something, I'm going to like trust it, but if I really, really want to believe it, I'll verify it first, right? That's basic policing.
You don't have anything on your hands if that's what you're calling in.
You know, exactly. Well, exactly, dude.
What do you got? Hey,
you got a guy
the fuck
sleeping.
Are you doing?
Dude, this police officer came up to this guy and said, hey, give me your ID. And the guy's like, what for? He goes, oh, we got a call, said someone was sleeping and matched your description. He goes, I'm not sleeping. I'm just watching the sunset. I'm not giving you my ID. And he's like, oh, you got to give me your ID, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no. He's like, what is it a crime to sleep? Is it a crime to sleep?
So even if I was sleeping.
Exactly. And then the guy's like, well, no, but give me your ID. And dude, the guy gets seized and fucking charged, and then the charges get dropped. That shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening. And that police officer, I don't think he should be fired. He definitely should be reprimanded, and he should go back to training. Yeah, go back to training. Hey, listen, guy, you need to have reasonable suspicion to stop
and furthermore, you check his sergeant. You say, why are you guys doing this?
Yeah, because it's leadership ultimately.
It's your leadership, and it goes to the chief.
Yep, absolutely.
And to be fair, I may have to edit this one out. Chief of police, who elects that person?
So it depends. Like I think certain cities
government?
have, city. I think they have.
So why can't we do that like we do with the sheriff? Why can't we vote for city chief of police?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe it should be some type of requirement. I mean, who knows? I think.
Isn't that weird? You start to think about that.
It is weird. I mean,
why aren't we voting for those people to represent?
Well, I think
the departments.
Well, I know like the smaller cities, they just go off of like people who like apply for it. You know what I mean? Or like what? Like I think the police department, they do like kind of like a voting thing, like a hiring, like a solicitation for like an employment, and then they apply for it. I'm sure the mayor
has something to do with that, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like especially big cities.
Yeah,
for sure. So I mean, it's just one of those things that can be looked into, but
again, I'll probably edit that out, but
I kind of liked it.
57 minutes, so I'll remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, it kind of falls. Credibility is very important. You know, credibility is important, and it's not just important to police officers, it's not just important to the public. It's important in just life, right?
Yeah.
If someone's not credible or something is not credible, what is it? You know what I mean? What's its value?
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing, right? That's
Right.
just the truth. If someone is just a constant liar, and all of a sudden there's just one thing that he or she tells the truth on, how can you believe it?
Well, we're not stopping
You know?
terrorist attacks either. It's like you're just
Yeah.
stopping whatever the fuck you think you're stopping.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about police, they're always looking for the bigger arrest, right?
I know, but like
Yeah.
they'll go to small fry,
Yeah,
the small
low-hanging
fish,
fruit.
and then it's just like, and they do dumb shit to somebody that the dude's sleeping on a bench.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, what are you proving?
Yeah, do you think you're gonna find like like Bin Laden?
Dude, I
guess
called
don't know.
a throwback to our old neighborhood. I called the police. I said, "Hey, look, I think there's a guy. He looks drunk. He's laying on the ground on the curb and into the street.
Yeah.
I think you might want to have someone come over here. I'd love to talk to him myself. I don't have time for it. I'm just letting the city be aware."
You're
They
doing
told
that's
me-
a welfare check.
They said,
yeah.
"Well, why don't you just go up to him?" I said, "Well,
It's not your
let
job.
me just go back into this.
Yeah.
I got somewhere to be.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you guys know because
Yeah.
if this guy, you know,
Yeah.
something's wrong with him."
That's
I
true.
said, "He's moving around. He just
Yeah.
looks drunk or something."
Because I'm not a public official.
well,
That's what I would have said.
that too. I mean,
I'm not a public
it's not-
servant.
we have people that
Yeah,
get paid to
unfortunately.
do this.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
you know,
well,
but-
because I'm calling you.
you know, and then we talk
Yeah.
about, you know, somebody calling on someone who may be sleeping on a bench. No,
Yeah.
I literally see an individual I just drove by.
Yeah.
It's all it was is I'm literally leaving to my destination.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm calling you to say, you guys look into it,
Yeah.
and I get the fucking, what are you talking about? It's the same person that was the El Vulde school shooter. Remember?
Oh, okay.
They had all those people calling in,
Yeah, yeah.
and they hung up on some of the
Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude, for
Blows my
sure.
mind.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Ego.
Exactly. Well, at the same token, you know, it's important to understand too. You know, it's easy to call the police. We can do it right now. I can call police right now and make up a bunch of fucking crazy stories. There's a gun in the park, and they'll come up with the SWAT team. What do they call it? Swatting, right? You know,
We could. Hey, we could. I do have
Yeah.
Bluetooth. We could say there's somebody
there's
fishing over
There's
here.
a black dude in the Red Wings shirt. That's impossible.
Yeah, in Flat Rock. What's going on here, man?
Kill it. Kill it.
Kill it.
Kill it. So yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
we're coming armed to the teeth.
yeah, dude. Yeah, we heard about these guys. These kinds.
These kind of
kinds.
guys trying to blend into our community.
Yeah, so it shows you.
He doesn't like hockey.
Yeah, dude, it shows you like, you know, what it's subjective, but it's like, what do you do? Like, what does, you know, the police training consider, you know, like the dispatch call, you know, like to come swatting, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's a tough job. And like I said, it requires professionals. It requires professionals. It doesn't require the ego-driven maniacs.
No.
It requires a professional. And that's, I'll die on that sword, and no matter who I'm talking to, executive staff member all the way down to the freaking janitor at the police department. You know, it takes professionals.
But that's why I hate the saying ACAB. It's just not true. All cops are not bad.
Oh, that's a real thing.
ACAB.
That's the first
Yeah,
time
if
I
you ever
heard
hear ACAB or
Yeah.
ACAB,
Okay.
if you ever see that, it just means all cops are bad.
Okay.
And you know, like I get it. Like there
Yeah.
are like, if you're thinking
It's
of
easy to be
freedom,
bad. Yeah.
you know, yeah. But
It's easy
we
to be
also, as a conservative, small c, of course, I'll keep saying that.
Small city.
We have to have these people here because we do have we live in a world and society of laws.
Yeah.
Although, you know, we don't always follow them. Our
Yeah.
federal end,
Yeah.
you know, all the people that just enter our country
Yeah.
illegally, and
Yeah.
but we have to have this law and order. There is
Yeah,
law and
absolutely.
order needed
Well,
in a society.
You know why they came up with that, right? Like the truth is on it, you know, as a law enforcement officer, I can give my take on it as a public citizen is, you know, everyone's shit stinks.
Yeah.
So that being said, those people who made up that ACAB, that's funny. All cops are bad.
I can't believe you
I've
you
never
don't
heard of
venture far enough
Nah,
into
dude,
the lefty
I'm not,
world.
Yeah, I'm not crazy. Like
No,
I don't,
you
I don't
need
do,
to,
I don't,
though.
I don't
You
do
have
Reddit.
to know your enemy,
I don't do. I know.
You got to know your enemy.
I don't do Reddit.
That's why I
and
know
stuff.
it.
But anyways, it's because they're saying that because everyone breaks the law. That's why I say that, right? So that being said, every cop is technically, you know,
They're just you and me.
it's kind of a double standard,
Yeah.
right? And that's why they're kind of referring to, I believe, with that statement, because obviously everyone breaks the law.
Yeah,
Every cop breaks
but
the
you
law,
also
right?
know
Every
as
human
many
breaks the law.
bad ones.
Yeah.
There's just as many good cops out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think as long as there's not that, you know, as long as there's not that abuse of power, that's why, like in policies, you ever look at policy, standard operating procedures and codes of ethics in law enforcement agencies, they'll always mentioned, you cannot abuse your power. You cannot abuse. Nothing can be made. Nothing can be used in your power and authority for any type of gain, right?
Yeah.
Personal gain. So that's important too, and that's why they have those policies, because they don't want police officers to be bad, right? Like naturally. But I mean, I can tell you right now, personally, I know tons of police officers who drink and drive, who do all types of stupid fucking shit. At least they talk about it, right? I've never seen it in person, or else I'd be obligated to report it.
I went to a party with a bunch of police,
some crazy shit,
and I was a young kid. And they let me drink.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was a teenager.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying.
It's like they were all cops.
Exactly. And it's like, because they know how to get away with shit, right? Cops do. Like they
well,
know,
have you ever heard of the term professional courtesy?
Yeah, there you go.
And how much they probably swing that around every time they get fucking in the corner?
I was looking for mine. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm trying to. No, I don't take you for that kind of person.
No, I definitely wasn't.
But I'm just
I didn't
saying,
even
like,
tell
you
him
probably did. Well, you did mention, hey, I'm Leo too, man. But you didn't fucking.
When I called.
Yeah, but
I called them asking for help.
Well, of course, but they should know that.
Yeah, I know.
That's important.
Yeah, I was telling him, I'm like, bro, Lautenberg is a serious thing. I know how serious this is.
I know how this works.
Yeah, I know how this works. Like, I know what this looks like too. So I want you guys over here to help me.
I'm Leo, and
they refused.
Yeah,
they didn't show up.
Dickheads.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and look how it turned out. So it's
you're doing better now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, once everything's dropped, it's just unfortunate that it took that. You know what I mean? And, hey, man, implicit biases, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Wild cards will come out, and hey, I mean, who knows if that's what it is? I believe it at this point. That's what it was. I think it was implicit biases. I definitely believe there was a lot of stereotyping and a lot of just, lock up the dude. So, gender discrimination, racial discrimination, whatever you want to call it. I'll let the lawyers figure that out. I know what I did. I did nothing wrong. I was a guy who was trying to get help and didn't get it. Yeah. And I ended up paying the ultimate price, like, getting in a lot of trouble.
It just goes to show you there are people that are ignorant enough to say that, hey, we should have matriarchies because fuck a patriarchy. And it's like, if you don't think women can't be evil as well.
And lie.
Yeah, well, I would debate that there's more lying involved when it comes to women, and I've
definitely
seen
stretching of the truth.
I'm not, and it's human nature. It's
absolutely.
not women.
Yeah,
so I do want to take that back.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah, it sounds a little sexist.
I know,
but it's okay. But you're a small C.
Bitches be tripping. Dude.
Bitches be tripping.
Yeah,
right?
I am small C. I'm more of a centrist conservative, but it's just like at the end of the day, dude.
Yeah.
Bitches be tripping.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
all I can do to end on that, because obviously, like, once the litigation is finalized, we can go in a little bit more depth. It'll be really interesting. I'm sure the public would want to hear it, too, because it's important, I mean, this case is very important, especially to the public. But anyways, I think it's important to understand that, there comes, like, a really fine line of doing the right thing. And, doing the right thing can be subjective sometimes, but at the end of the day, it all kind of leads to the same. And it goes off of, if you didn't do something, you know what I mean? Like, and you're being accused of it.
Yeah.
You got to have a pretty strong case. So I go back to, that's why you can't just use a statement and stuff like that. When a district court judge that's been on the bench for over 30 years says on transcript that is the weakest case he's ever seen, and that the credibility of the only witness is 100% in question, that case should not have made it anywhere.
So really, that's really a push on that person's lawyers. Essentially, what he's saying is, the prosecutors. He was probably trying to get to them. You should have avoided this. You should have done everything. Instead, you just went into the brain of that person and just accepted everything that was going on.
So I did want to. We can hit on this too because we're kind of closing out. Brady violations. People can Google that. It's important. It's basically a violation in the court process of your due process, where if the prosecutors or the district attorneys, I guess, district attorneys and prosecutors are the same thing. They're basically the lawyers for the government. They're the ones trying to prove that whatever you got arrested for is that what you did.
Yeah.
And if they omit information, it's a Brady violation, especially information that directly relates to the innocence or the guilt of the case.
Yeah.
So more obviously the innocence, right? Because obviously if it's evidence that proves guilt, of course the prosecutors are going to use it. It's more evidence that would prove innocence that's very important. And I wanted to touch on this. And I did want to ask the public, what's their opinion on Brady violations, and why is it that if a prosecutor gets caught violating a Brady violation, nothing happens other than just they dismiss the case. Why is the prosecutor just getting away with basically, I call contempt of court, obstruction of justice, all types of crazy violations.
There's got to be like a specific reason, and it's to protect people that are part of those. It's similar to like what you would see with law enforcement and the protections that fall under their
qualified immunity.
Yeah, qualified immunity. Something similar for them, maybe.
Yeah, probably because they have to prove the willfulness that they omitted it purposefully.
Yes, that's harder to do.
Oh man, there's some DNA ones, man. I subscribe to Innocence Project.
Okay,
they're on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Uh-huh.
It's a bunch of lawyers. Basically, all they do is they fight death row cases,
right?
And it's important, and I truly 100% support it. I didn't support it as much as I do now because I used to have a lot of a lot of faith in our justice system.
Yeah.
Now I realize, damn, they can. I remember we always made jokes in the locker rooms. We can indict a ham sandwich. That is legitimately true.
Yeah, no.
We can, if we had a ham sandwich and could make it a person and give it a name, we could fucking charge it with something.
Right.
So anyways, that being said, these people, some of these cases, man, some of the DNA evidence that some of these district attorneys and prosecutors knew that they had that would actually like prove this person's innocence that they just chose to just not like look into.
Right.
Shame on them. That's neglect, dude. And there should be some type of charge, dude. Really.
Maybe
there should be consequences.
You'd have to sue them, essentially.
Dude, fuck lawsuits, man.
Yeah.
Fuck lawsuits, dude. Lawsuits, all they do is they just charge you and I, the public fucking taxpayers, out of their pockets for money.
That's what needs to be changed, right?
Yeah, there needs to be actual consequences.
Well, when you're dealing with something, well, but then you could just sue anybody, right? If it was just free. But if you feel like you were wrong,
no, I'm talking about the payouts, dude. Like these people. So have you ever looked up anybody on that gets released from death row?
Okay.
If you look at it, they say they're held for like 20 years.
Okay.
They like do an estimate like here's $30,000 for every year, right? That's a decent amount of money. Where do you think that comes from, dude?
Right.
That comes from our pocket.
Right.
One and two, who caused all that? Who caused that? That's a crime, dude. That person was fucking kidnapped and held 20 fucking years because of a shitty trial because DNA evidence was released.
Right.
That at the same token, the government is the burden. They hold the burden of proof. They hold the burden of proof.
Yeah, but the government's us. Essentially, too.
Essentially, well,
it's our money.
Well,
it's our
judicial
people we elected.
The judicial process, and obviously, and if it's a plea because they scared the fuck out of this guy, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? That's criminal, dude. That's criminal, and there should be consequences for prosecutors. Now, I'm definitely sending that to the public. Do you believe that? Do you believe that prosecutors, when they are found to just basically act in negligence and neglect through cases that they're actually overseeing? Obviously, don't get me wrong. Wayne County prosecutors, dude, they're overworked. Who knows what the average docket is? I would love to get a hold of a Wayne County prosecutor that is not a Wayne County prosecutor anymore and ask them that question. How big was your docket? How much oversight did you have? What were you doing with your cases, especially the bullshit cases? I can tell you right now, from my experience, when I talk to the AUSAs, I'm firsthand delivery working with these guys in and out with all details of the case. If it's a weak case, they're not taking it to a magistrate to get a warrant signed. They're not taking it to push more. You know what I mean? If anything, they're going to tell you do more work. You know why? Because it's cops and robbers out here. It's not robbers, right? Like they just turn themselves in.
Right.
Police officers have to do the job.
Oh, yeah.
They have to do the work. But what's happening is police officers are getting lazy.
Yeah.
They're getting lazy because everything's getting easier, and the society as a whole is getting weaker. We don't want to do work. We want everything just kind of handed to us.
Right.
That's what we're dealing with today with these police officers. When they just pull you over for the bullshit, right? The tinted windows, right? They want the plain view search real quick, but then they're going to ask you, hey, what, you got any weapons in the car? The truth is, sure.
Like
truth is, obviously, that's a tactic, and it's a good tactic to use. But a good police officer, really, he's gonna know what's in there already.
Yeah.
He's already done the work. Well,
he can look at you and kind of get you.
He knows, dude.
A
really good, on the streets police officer with a good experience is gonna know who their homies are.
Yeah.
They're gonna know who their bank. They're gonna know everything.
Yeah.
Because they're good police. They do the work.
Yeah.
They put in the work. They put in the effort. The effort it takes to be a real law enforcement.
Well, they're being a genuine law enforcement.
Exactly, and they're committed to their job.
Yes,
they're not just trying to do that bullshit cop out stuff. You know, they're not cutting corners.
They're not coming in just getting a check.
There you go.
They take their job seriously.
They're definitely not just writing a statement from what you say, taking that statement and just handing it to the prosecutors just to get a warrant.
Right.
They're actually doing an investigation. An investigation takes work. It takes effort, and that's what was going on, especially with my case. Definitely because I know I wasn't even questioned. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, there's a warrant. And it's like, wow, where from? I didn't even get questioned.
Yeah.
So it's like that shows you that there's no passion to the job anymore.
Right.
It's not cops and robbers anymore. They just want to cut corners and cheat, and then they sleep on that. They put people, they seize people, they take their freedoms, and they sleep on that. Shame on. It's disgusting, dude. It really is. I truly believe that. Like I couldn't
do it.
I
would have a hard time doing somebody on some
yeah,
small shit.
Absolutely. And I can tell you right now, if anybody that like comes to me as a law enforcement officer professional and thinks elsewise, please come to me. I'm willing to bring it to the table and we can have dialogue. Any law enforcement officer. So, that being said, I get it. It's a tough job, but if you don't want to put in the work, don't play on the ice. That's how it comes, dude.
Jay's
don't go out there.
Energy's at an all-time high.
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
I've been watching.
He already worked
Stanley
out.
Cup playoffs.
He might do a second workout today.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
I've been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's what I'm talking about. I'm relating it to hockey, but it's true, right?
No, it's
I mean,
good,
dude, if you got players that are not willing to play, don't play.
Yeah,
don't play.
I agree, man.
Yeah, don't play.
I think you're gonna make it happen.
So,
and I like that call. I like that call out. So anybody that's listening that's law enforcement,
hit me up. Happy J1 on Instagram.
I've got multiple microphones.
Yeah. You can do it up. I mean, you can get a hold of us. I got the Instagram started on Mixed and Moderate Patriot Podcast Instagram. I'll post some stuff on there. We haven't posted in a while.
Name that again. What's the at?
Mixed and Moderate Patriot Podcast.
Okay.
Yep.
Look us up there.
Yeah, it's like mixed and then like what is that line? What is it? What do they call it? Like a
was it dash or is it a
no? It's like
underline. Yeah. Well, I don't know what the fuck that would be.
What are the fucking hipsters called?
I'll put it in the description of this. Whatever when you go to upload, because I'll send it to you for upload.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you'll have to start a YouTube or wherever we're gonna upload.
Yeah, I was gonna do a YouTube. I'll do a YouTube. I'll start a YouTube.
So, yeah, man. I mean, again, we kind of got out there. We were loose on it on a couple of things, but more structured. We'll continue to release these. We'll put them out. We'll try and be more consistent.
For sure.
We're both family men.
Yep, family men, busy.
He's busier than me.
I'm definitely busy. Yeah,
you got a lot more on your plate, but
yeah.
We got to find the time, and I apologize. Edit that out.
Oh yeah, a little COVID.
No, fucking bug. It flew in my throat.
Oh, I hate when
better
that
than
happens.
semen. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna get this down. This is kind of random. I get it, but I think it's cool.
Check that out.
Yeah, we've had ducks walking by the whole time.
Really?
Dude. You didn't see it?
Wow.
So when we play this back, you'll see it. Hopefully I was in focus. I don't look like I'm in focus.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Enough.
But yeah, I mean,
am I glaring? I think I'm glaring.
You probably are. We'll
wow.
touch back on this.
Okay. Wow.
Oh man, there's just been some views, some, not a lot.
That's good.
But
it's a nice park. It's definitely mixed. I wouldn't say moderate.
Hey, giggity. No, that's why I like this neighborhood. I mean, the band, you'll hear them slightly, but I'll probably even have that removed. So
yeah, I like it. It's a nice park. I used to come here as a kid.
See, you're in focus because the red lines indicate focus.
Oh, okay.
But gotcha. I'm not seeing red lines. Maybe it's just my eyes. Like you literally have. It looks like you're that. Who's the dude from X-Men?
Oh yeah, the dude with the fucking
Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops.
Boom. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's that. Follow us on Instagram. If you want to get a hold of us, do you have an email? Do you still want to use that one email you have?
No, just hit me up on Instagram. Yeah. Hit up the Instagram.
I've got a personal one at Kevin Z Multimedia. Jay, if you want to go do yours, whatever.
No, just hit me up on that. I run that. Yeah, I run that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
so he'll get them. But yeah, we'll continue to do more of these as best we can. I know this is a weird setting. You might go, what the fuck are these guys doing? They're not nature boys.
Enjoying the fresh air.
Actually, this is fucking nice, dude.
I think it was pretty cool. It was a cool
idea.
You
could have brought your kids and they could have just been playing over
just
there.
Hanging out. Yeah. Truly patriotic.
All right, guys. Peace.